See, I like to jump off of what Woman Sphere said here. Two things. One, I was talking about the whole Mammy situation. Her calling black women who are into men of other races, particularly the divested sector, calling the mammies and things of that nature. I was saying, why are you saying that in this regard? Because it didn't really make much sense to me. But then I got what she was saying about taking care of the white man's children and things of that nature, right? And she's saying that because they're having children with white men, they are married to white men and taking care of their husbands, which are white men, and their children, which are the children of white men. So I got that. But this ties into the whole problem of ignorance. See, it never makes any sense to me when people do things like this. You can't disparage people for something that you are yourself. Like, she literally is a child of some white man that is very despicable, long ago. And you want to talk about people taking care of their children who are the children of white men, right? Well, the descendants, the male lineage for black people is white. So, I mean, like, when you say that, it's weird to me, because it's like, you're acting like white men are bad. But you're really literally the descendants of really horrendous white men, more than anyone in this day and age. I mean, no one's committing those type of heinous crimes, murder, rape, and mutilation, and degradation, child abuse, incest. I mean, come on now. I'm just saying. What white slave owners did long ago was horrendous. And then you want to try and blame those people who did those really bad things on white people, when the only people you can blame is your own ancestors, because your ancestors are directly those people. Your family fucked over your other family, okay? That's what happened. That's what happened with black Americans. That's literally how black Americans were made today. It was by slave owner and slave people, slave man, slave woman. That's why the ancestry of black people is 3 different types of people. It's the black female lineage, it's the black male lineage, and it's the white male lineage. Now, some people also have a lineage of Native American and Asian, but those are very small lineages that are like 1% or 0.5% or something small. Our large lineages are black female, black male, white male. You look at the DNA results, it looks about even, basically. The descendants of white males and the descendants of black males is about half and half, because black Americans are about a quarter white, which implies if you have 2 male lineages, which one did you get more of? We're not made of just male, we're made of male and female. Human beings are created by a male and a female. So basically, out of your ancestors that were male, 50% were white slave owners that were despicable people. And you have the nerve to sit here and say that white people need to be ashamed of the ancestors that they came from, when the very ones that you're talking against are your ancestors. That's your father. That's your ancestry. And you are going and trying to say white people who probably don't even have ancestry long enough in this country to have white people in the history. And you have to understand, not all white people before slavery ended were people who were for slavery, people who had slaves. We know with you For sure, your ancestors owned slaves, tortured slaves, raped slaves. Okay, we know your ancestors were disgusting. We can't even say that your ancestors were possibly white slave owners who may have just been ignorant and maybe they were kind to their slaves. We can't even say that because you're here. So we know your ancestors were rapists. Your ancestors were probably pedophiles, incestuous, mutilating, murdering freaks, okay? That's what your ancestors were. And then you want to turn to a white person and try and tell them something's wrong with their ancestry? I think you need to fix whatever you said is wrong with you. Maybe say an apology to yourself at this point, because I mean, like, you're upset at what one of your ancestors did to another ancestor. You're the combination of those people. So I guess at this point, you might well say sorry to yourself. I don't think you should be getting angry at white people today for something your ancestors did, 200 years ago, They got nothing to do with this. They're not related to you. They're not your family. Your family did this to you. Your family enslaved your ancestors. Your family raped your ancestors. Your family mutilated your ancestors, okay? Your family messed over your other family. So you are a combination of the two. You can't say, I'm just going to claim this because I don't want to claim that. How do you say that you guys, this is what black Americans will do sometimes. They'll give themselves the carte blanche to say, oh, I'm not going to accept or acknowledge the fact that I am the descendants of directly slave owners, monstrous slave owners that were devilish, that were psychopaths, that were crazy, mentally ill freaks. We already know that's what you're the descendants of. You're going to say that you don't need to accept that because you want to identify with, your other side, the side that was oppressed, right? That's you, even though you are as much as the part that tormented your family as the part that was tormented. Genetically, you're not more of one ancestor than another. You're pretty much a combination of all of them. But you want to say that you don't want to claim that, but then you turn to white people and tell them they have to claim that, they can't get away from it. It's been 200 years, might likely not even had ancestry since 200 years ago in America. And even if they did, we don't even know if they were slave owners. We don't even know if they were maniacal, crazy ones like your ancestors. We don't even know if they were for slavery. We don't know, but just because they're white, you think that they somehow have to be culpable for something that we literally know your ancestors did and are guilty of. I'm just saying, if we're going by that logic, you're the one in the wrong, not white people. So that's all I'm saying there. I mean, when we talk about history and we talk about black people and white people, it's not as clear cut now as it was then, because black people long ago were actually black people. Nowadays, black people are always a combination of African and European. And the way we got the African and the European, we know how we got it. So, it is what it is. But, yeah, that's all I wanted to say here. It's just like, stop trying to blame other people for things that your ancestors did. If anyone is bad, it's you, I guess. But I don't think you're bad because of your ancestors. So, I mean, it is what it is, You're saying, though, that black men or white men are worse. I guess if you were thinking of it down that line of things, you would have to say that it would be black men because, I guess, because they're the ancestors of that. Whatever. I don't really care because they're all dead. They're not really here today, and we're saying that it's just stupid to really blame anyone for what their ancestors did anyway, so it's just stupid. So, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be so hooked into the past. These people are bones. Are they even bones at this point? They're just bones, I think. I mean, they're not, nobody's living from that day that was a slave owner or causing havoc on black people. So you just need to let it go. On the whole thing about men trying to predate women, trying to take advantage of women, take advantage of desperation, I appreciate, I agree with, but it's just when you start talking about the history of white people and things of that nature, understand that's your history. And it's more your history than any white person's, because we know directly how you got that white ancestry. And we know directly who your white ancestors are. We know your white ancestors were devils, okay? Your ancestors were fucked up, okay? And so you don't have to look to white Americans for that. You can look to yourself for that. Just saying. I'm going to be done. Thanks for watching. Bye.